So Chris Jericho and Fandango open up the pay-per-view, which I actually didn't see coming. Did anybody else?
No,
Nope.
I didn't at all.
I would have thought that maybe Orton and Big Show would start it off, or maybe Dean Ambrose and Kofi Kingston. But really, I didn't see Fandango and Jericho doing it. But oh well, it was a good opening match. Um, Jericho wins in the end, and that isn't a bad idea at all because he's actually sticking around a little bit longer than I thought he was going to. So that kind of quells all the fears of is Jericho going to win, and then next week on Raw, or the next night on Raw, it just becomes when I would need to find something else for Fandango to do. So they're sticking around. They're going to have at least one more match together, probably, if not more. But I doubt they're having any more than one more match. And, you know.
I don't know. I've been kind of disappointed with Jericho's return to the WWE. It really hasn't meant much, and I feel like it should. I don't know why, but I feel like it should have meant more. I mean, yeah, it's great that he gets to work with Fandango, but at the same time, it's Chris Jericho. I think a guy like him has reached legend status, in my opinion. I mean, at least in my mind, because I grew up watching the guy on TV for so long. Just to see him kind of there, I don't know. It just kind of bugs me.
I'm with you, man. I mean, Chris Jericho, throughout history, I'm looking at wrestling overall, I would have to say is my number 2 favorite wrestler right underneath Shawn Michaels. And yet, this current run, I don't want to accuse Chris of phoning it in, but something just does not feel right. And I feel like he really has so much energy going towards his other projects, his band Fozzy, doing other television shows like Robot Combat League. It just seems to have taken him over a lot more. I mean, you look at him, he's got that big tattoo on his arm, which is his big stamp, like, hey, I'm in Fozzy now. And he's not in the same shape as he used to be, which, I mean, hey, he's older. That's going to happen. But I don't know. So, I'm on your side with that. Something just isn't right with this run.
I agree. And you know what is annoying about it to me? I like face Jericho. I don't want him to just come back and be a heel and then that be the whole thing that changes it all. I like it when he's a babyface.
Same here.
I think he brings something
to
the table more than what most other babyfaces do. And when he's a heel, it's kind of the same thing.
I think it worked the first time. I think when he came back in 2008 and had that feud with Shawn Michaels, that was it. I think that was the peak of his heel run. Anything after that, to be honest, has not lived up to that. I mean, that
I actually thought his work the 2 years after that, when he kept the same monotonous, I'm going to call it like the gelatinous parasite speaking character, the walking dictionary, if you will. I thought that character worked for the next 2 years he used it. I thought he did some of his best work during that run. You did?
Yeah, I got real tired of it.
I could have, every time you used it, I was actually a huge fan of it. Were you bored of it even during the original HBK feud?
No, the HBK feud was amazing. But
yeah, it was.
After a while, more so I would say, the thing that really drove me nuts about heel Jericho was when he came back and it was the whole thing with It Begins 2012 and all that. That really
Jericho.
That soured me entirely on the whole thing. And I actually, even though I wanted to see Jericho and Punk, I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? I would rather not have Jericho and Punk and just have Jericho out of WWE again than for him to continue doing this. It annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah, same here.
So I don't want to see him go back to a heel again because I'm worried that he would end up just kind of
doing the same thing,
phoning it in with a heel too. And if you phone it in as a heel, I think it's even more of a disappointment than if you phone it in as a face. But I do think that he is phoning it in a little bit here. And
ring work wise, promo wise, or just everything wise, do you think he's phoning it in?
I think more so promo.
I don't even want to say phoning it in. I think he's on autopilot when he's there, is what it is.
Well, I think for somebody,
his instinctual things.
That's a good way to put it.
He pars the course, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I think his ring work, he does pretty decent for just regular throwaway matches on TV. He puts in pretty decent effort, no matter who he's in the ring against.
But it's Chris Jericho. I mean, Chris Jericho could have a matchup with a broomstick, and it'll be a 3-star match.
I guess actually a good way that we could put it is like, you know how we're saying like phoning it in and all this other kind of stuff. It's more so that he doesn't have any passion for anything that he's doing right now. So what he's doing is still good, but that's because of just the fact that it's in his blood. But there's nothing that's setting it out to be anything special.
No substance.
And as for the match of Fandango, I thought it was a good opener.
Yeah,
I would dare say it was better than their WrestleMania match. Some good counters and back and forth action. I thought it was I wouldn't have picked it to open the show. I probably would have picked something like Orton and Show, and we'll get to that later on in this review. But as a choice to open the show, it was certainly not a bad choice. I mean, the guys did a very good job, everything considered, especially since they didn't even throw a stipulation on it.
Yeah, that's what really threw me off when that was introduced as the first match. I figured they would start off with a stipulation and then kind of balance it out, do something that doesn't have one, and, you know, not kind of do 2 matches the pre-show, if you count that, without a stipulation, and then go right into a whole bunch of them. But then again, I also thought that they were going to have some other matches and all that, so I don't know what was their game plan during this pay-per-view, especially when it comes to how they booked some things. But yeah, I liked the match. I thought that it was pretty good, and it makes sense in my mind for Jericho to win.
It evens up the score if they're going to continue the feud anyway.
And he didn't win in a way that made Fandango look like shit.
No.
So I'm all for it. Anybody against it?
The finish?
No, the match, the finish.
Or the match in general. No, I thought the finish worked perfectly fine. He caught him when Fandango took a risk, which meant, like, what if he didn't take that risk? He could have beat Jericho again. He made a stupid decision that it cost him the match. And it wasn't anything bad. I thought the guys worked very well together. I have no complaints. It was a good opener, all in all.
Brian? Any thoughts?
He's going Lou.
Yeah, he went to go drop the kids off at the pool.
He's using this as his bathroom break on Smack Talk because there's no Divas match to talk about.
I need to leave him right at the opener.
I was just about to say that too.
All right, Peyton, what do you think? Any other last thoughts?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, Jericho got his even victory here. We're going to see a rubber match. I hope Fandango comes out the strongest at the end of this, and I think he will. The question is, where do they both go from there? You know, I'm happy this is a guy that Fandango got put with. It was a really high-profile star. It's really helping him get a good first set of matches that he has to the public. But where does he go from there?
I think in terms of Jericho, I think once this Cena feud blows over with Ryback, I could see a Ryback-Jericho feud, because I know that was the plan early in the year, was to feud those two guys together to put Ryback over. I could see that. I could see Jericho being slotted in with Fandango, having a few matches. You know, Jericho and Fandango, not Jericho and Fandango, Jericho and Ryback could be a matchup that could lead up to SummerSlam. I could see that. You know, Jericho's a big enough star that could be one of the mid main events, like the 9 o'clock or the 10 o'clock main event.
All right, guys, we're going to move on in the next part and talk about one of the championship matches, U.S. title, Dean Ambrose and Kofi Kingston.